Hi guys, welcome on the channel. This video is about a little bit celebrating my achievement because I hit a very nice milestone. As you can see on my page, I just hit 100 megawatt produced by my photovoltaic system, which is, I think, very quite nice. I built my system and I am growing the system every year a little bit, and now we are about 72 kilowatt peak installed of the capacity of the panels, and also the system is going some kind of upgrade with a little bit different inverters, higher battery storages, and so on and so on. So I would like to introduce you my 101 megawatt till today, which is very quite nice. And if you have also maybe some kind of similar achievement with your photovoltaic, please let me know. If there is a question how long it actually took me to do 101, I was watching on the lifetime. If we go on the year, you can see we are starting in the 2022, and we have here 5 months where I was doing a little bit something. It's not much. It was the start of the system when I was building my first south string on the roof, and it was actually those 20 kW, I think, installed. And it was by the end of the year, so there was not so much energy. So in the 2022 5 months, then we have 2023, 2024, 2025. It is 3 years, 36 months plus 5. It means 41, and actually we have now 26, and because it's start of the April, we can count another 3, so 44 months actually it took me to produce 100 megawatt. I think it is quite nice achievement because it is like 3.6 of the years, and it's like around 30 megawatt per year. I have set up in myself somehow, let me say, I would like to see here in my lifetime 1 gigawatt. So I have hit 10% of my achievement that I would like to go there, and we will see if I can manage it in next 10-15 years. Probably yes, but definitely my system really needs some kind of upgrading. I will show you a day which was quite nice. It was, I think, the 2nd, yes, it is this curve. It was the 2nd of April, very lovely. You see the curve, like it is very wide and flat. This is actually my target, because if you want to have, let me say, a lot of power all day from the morning till the evening, you cannot have only these south strings. You need to combine with the west string and east string, even maybe north string, because a lot of, let me say, 20 kilowatt peak I have actually on the north side of my roof also. It is, let me say, a little bit mirror of the south string, and it's not producing much. But let me say now from the April, maybe till the September, it is a little bit doing something, and in the morning it is actually making, let me say, maybe 40-50% of the capacity in the morning, which is quite nice. In the evening, not much, because I am, I think, 15 degrees from the south to the west oriented, so it is a little bit like, I don't know, northeast north or something like this. A little bit oriented. The north side is a little bit on the east, so it's a little bit better, and that's why there is not so much actually in the summer on the west side in the evenings. Maybe a little bit, let me say, June, July, there is a little bit shine, but it's very low and really insignificant. But it is a big flasher, and it's still doing something from the diffusion light, which is the most important thing, and in the bad weather. For example, like today, because it's actually morning, it is about 8:35 of my time. theoretically there should be the sun, and I should be doing about, let me say, 835. If I go back and we look on the 835, it is something like here. I should be doing about 12-13 kilowatts per hour, but now I am doing only very weak 1.2 kilowatt. So let me say 10%, because it's totally cloudy, you cannot see the sun, it's very gray, sometimes a little bit yellow, sometimes a little bit even dark gray, so there is not so much sun. But still I am doing something. At least you can make the coffee and make, I don't know, bacon and eggs for the breakfast, which is quite nice. But it is only because I have so many panels, those 72 kilowatt peak, so they are at the end doing all the time something. If I go for the last months, I think it was very nice. If we go for the March, I have produced in the March actually 3.77 megawatt. I was comparing it with the 2025, it was very similar. Let me say I have now about 10%, 9% more than the last year, but actually the capacity installed has raised, let me say, from 55 to 72. So you can imagine, like, I am maybe 15% more of the kilowatt peak installed, but I don't have the 15% actually increase of the income on the energy, but it is because of the position of the panels. What was actually new, that is the fence, which is 90 degrees and direction west and south. That's the difference, and you cannot expect like you will have here, let me say, those 15%. Definitely this month was very nice, and with comparison of the last year, I think there was maybe some new, very nice hits like 165. I think it was the best in the last year, but this year I have reached even in the March 202 kilowatt a day, which is very nice. It is very close, let me say, starting to be very close to my maximum that I was able to reach last year. And the biggest day income of the energy, it was 249 kilowatt hours. So I am already on the 80%, and it was the July, July weather and fully blue sky all day, and I had 202. My expectations are, if everything works, let me say, okay, and my system is really finished and I maybe go to 80-84 kilowatt peak in this year, I will be getting in those days maybe 350 kilowatt hours. So it should be a little bit better for the next year and for the next winter incoming, which I hope it will be, because I really need every watt to squeeze in the winter. It is the most important thing for the winter. This one was very nice. I was able to put to the grid 1.5 megawatt, which is quite nice, so it will bring some kind of revenue, let me say about $200 from the selling the energy, which is quite nice. And I have consumed for myself, let me say, 219. What was actually very nice, it is I didn't have to use the grid at all. You see here 2.1 kilowatt, and it is only some kind of deviation, I don't know, it's like 1 promille of total consumption. That's nothing. It's actually like the zero. If I go, for example, here, you see I have 742 kilowatts in the February, and this one you have to pay. This one you really have to pay hardly. It was about, let me say, $150, I think, in my prices, and it was good only due to the spot. You see, I was able to also sell something in this month, but it wasn't so much. Now I have sold actually 6 times more, which is huge difference, and I have consumed also myself 2 times more here, because you can see my total consumption. It's every month, let me say, more or less the same, about 2 megawatts of the power I need, and it's really hard to get when you have only 133, so you have to push it somewhere and take it from the distribution, take it from the grid and use it for the heating, which is from the merge. No, not needed. From the merge I have enough energy from the sun. I can store some energy to the batteries, so I really don't need, let me say, to take from the grid. And it will stay like this, let me say, another 8 months. I think the September will be okay, November will be okay, and yeah, we will see, we will see. Definitely winter, September, October is fine, November is a little bit critical, December and January is disaster. Definitely, I think everybody who has the photovoltaic, you know, even when you have, for example, smaller system, then it's total disaster, total disaster. I have at least a little bit from the diffusion. If I will show you, for example, this winter 25, you can see the January I produced 916, and I consumed everything. This that was actually sold to the grid. It was over the, let me say, battery system, and I was many times even taking the cheap energy from the grid and selling the energy back to the grid when it was higher the price. For example, if you charge for 6 cents and you can sell it for 20, then it's good to do it. And that's what I was doing. That's why I have sold more than even in the February, where it was not so good. Let me say, there was no need to take the energy because it was pointless. You have losses on the DC EC conversions and batteries and so on and so on. It was pointless, so I sold only 285, which is half of this December, let me say, and or January and December. December was even the worst. It was the worst month of the year last year. I produced only 500, nearly 600 kilowatt. That's very bad, very bad. In this winter, it was very cold and freezing and a lot of snow. So main south and north strings, they were covered with the ice and snow. It was doing really nothing. That's why I was building actually last year the fence, which is 90 degrees and oriented west and east, and it is producing a little bit power even in the so bad weather. I think it is very nice to have it as a, let me say, safety system, because you still have something. If you imagine it's 600, and if you want to run maybe the household, you still have, let me say, 20 kilowatt hours a day, which is, I think, not so bad. With this one, you can warm up your water, and let me say, you can have the lights and consumption of the normal household. The fridge is running all the time. You can wash the clothes and turn on the light, watch the TV, look the movie, turn on the computer, and so on and so on. So for this one, I still have the energy, and with this one I could be independent. But for the heating, because my main heating is actually electric one, I don't have the energy. So when I had, I was using it. When I didn't, I have to even burn the wood, which I really had to because it was not enough. And you see, I have taken 1.7 megawatt from the network, from the grid. So I had to pay very dearly. Those months it was very, very expensive. Let me say October, November, you see 1.1 megawatt. It is a little bit close to January. I think it is normal. And even in this month, I was taking 800 kilowatt. So it was also hard. You see, there was not so much energy. I was consuming all energy from the photovoltaic. There was something on the beginning, first week, but from the half after, it was disaster. This one, you have only 12 kilowatt, here 7 kilowatt, 9 kilowatt. It was so crazy, so crazy. It was so bad and so cold and windy and snow and freeze. I didn't like it. So, do I have independence with such a system where I have produced actually 100 megawatt? Yes, I do for household, but not for the heating in the winter. So, if you want to build something, let me say, similar of this size, definitely I think you will reach the independence of the household, and you don't need the grid. Actually, you can stay fuel island and you will be happy. Definitely, if you have big storage. I was running this winter about 60 kilowatt hours battery storage. Next winter I will be running minimum 120, and we will see the difference. Definitely it will make the ability to survive longer without days when you have no sun. But actually now with the fence, where I have really 90 degrees standing panels on the fence, I will have always something. Even when 1 meter of the snow is actually dropping off, because it is the bifacial and it is dual panels, actually even when I have 1 meter snow, there is still 1/2 of the panel that will actually produce at least something. So if there come 2 meters, I am closed. I have nothing, but hopefully it will not happen, the ice age. Generally it was okay, because my panels, they are, let me say, 30 to 40 centimeters above the ground. So there is no problem with the grass and in the summer, and this is, I think, also very important. And when you have in the winter small snow, 20-30 centimeters, I think it's okay, and the panels, they are clean all the time, more or less, unless it's something very wetty and freezing on them, but it really doesn't happen so often. So this is introduction of my system. I think you have seen everybody. I wanted to put also the marking, and let me say the December we have here. We did February last month, and how was actually ending the maths. You have seen it was very nice month, and I think the April will be very similar, because there is so far a lot of days where I am not producing much, like today, for example. So we will see where we go. Hopefully it will be higher. There was very nice day on the 2nd. You can see 218 kilowatt. It is very close to the maximum I have reached. So I think even potential somewhere ending of the April, I could be doing about 250. It's possible, but I really need to absorb the energy, and I am not ready. I still have very small charging system. I can charge only 100 amps to the 50 volt system, which is not much, but it will change. I will upgrade it, let me say about 200 and 120 and 350 amps. So in the total there will be able to peak maybe 600 something, which is, I think, very nice. 670 is total maximum theoretical, but I think it will be running about 400 ampere charging, and it will be enough, because by 50 volt it is actually 20 kilowatt peak, and it should be enough. I think I will be running even less, but if I need to, I can really push it a little bit higher than now. And if it will be 4 times higher, when you have the capacity of the 8 boxes, let me say if I use 15 kilowatt per box, it is 16 kilowatt boxes, but 15 usable for me, then you can have 300 amps, let me say, capacity on each box, and recommended charging is up to 0.3, which means 150 amps per box. But I am going to charge preferably, let me say, 1/6 of this capacity. Let me say it will be about 16, 17, 18, 20% of the capacity, which is about 50 amps per box. Then you have 8 boxes by 50 amps, it means 400 amps. And I think it is very good for the lifetime. charging because those batteries, those cells won't be so stressed with the high, let me say, current, and it will be much better because they will be not overheating. They will be very steady, working between 25 and 28, 30 degrees. It depends on the temperature outside, definitely. And it is, I think, what is very good. If you go higher, maybe you go like 100 amps per box, which I even can't reach, but I still can happen something. I will have to disconnect half of the storage and then I will be still able to charge 400 because each box will be charging for 100 amps. Then we will have the temperature going higher and everything will be more stressed than you wish to, but it is still possible. It is still possible. And let me say it is 0.33 C, 0.33 of the capacity, which is still below the maximum recommended by the manufacturer. I think it is okay, but I don't like to go there. Really, people, I don't want to see 150 amps on any of my battery boxes. I would like to keep them below 0.3 C all the time. So that's what I plan, and hopefully we will reach 1 gigawatt in my lifetime. Maybe if I will be now able to produce about 45-50 megawatt hours a year, then it will be jumping a little bit more steady. So if I have now in the April, let me say, or end of the March, I had 100 megawatt. Next year we will see if we have at least 140 or 150. I think not, because my system is not ready, not finished. We will be, I think, around 40, maybe something like this for this year. And anyway, it is amazing when you have 40 megawatt of the energy each year. It is close to survive for every moment. So thank you for the watching. If you have any questions, please use the comments below. I will gladly answer. I think there is a lot of things told, but still there could be a lot of questions. So if you have them, write the comments and I will see you on the next one. Thank you and bye bye.